So the new year, banking is kicking off just where it left off the old year. We've got JP Morgan with a big settlement, criminal over Bernie Madoff, $1.7 billion. This one's been in the works for a while.
Been in the works like all of these have been in the works for a while. This one was just announced today. Let's step back. JP Morgan, of course, was Bernard Madoff, the Ponzi schemer's main banker. It's where he put his money. It's where he took out his money. The feds are saying, look, JP Morgan, you should have known this guy was a fraud. And we think that you ignored it. You turned a blind eye to his behavior. So we think that's a violation of what's called the Bank Secrecy Act, which requires banks, U.S. banks, to report suspicious activity.
There's an interesting component of the settlement, which is this deferred prosecution.
Deferred prosecution agreement. Basically, if you guys pay the $1.7 billion and reform your money laundering practices or anti-money laundering practices and surveillance, then we won't bring criminal charges and we'll just settle this thing and make it go away. If you don't do what we want you to do, then there could be, for the first time, really a criminal charge brought against JP Morgan.
Now, this is unlike all these other bank settlements that we've seen, which tend to kind of involve pretty much everyone or a bunch of banks, so whether it's LIBOR or mortgage securities. This one is particular to JP Morgan.
Yes, certainly the size. And you can look at other banks and say, look, they've all had to shake up their anti-money laundering activities, from small banks to big banks. Standard Chartered got involved in one a couple of years ago and got really worried about what the US is going to do. But yeah, I mean, this is one client who lived in New York, who, all right, fair enough, JP Morgan is an amalgam of many New York-based banks, so it's unsurprising it ends up with them. But what does it say if one of the biggest banks in the country, even before the most recent mergers, manages to get this account and 4 years doesn't spot anything? I mean, it's not like, okay, let's just turn a blind eye to maybe someone funding some weapons to Iran that takes 6 months. This is 15, 20 years worth. I mean, and that's where it's really different.
And I guess the point is that there's been safety in numbers for some of these banks and some of the bank CEOs to say, everyone was kind of doing, we're signing a joint settlement agreement, maybe even in some cases. Yeah. I mean, Jamie Dimon has obviously been held out quite a bit. He had certainly a big $13 billion settlement. How many layers of paint can he put on that in that corner?
That's the problem. Is like he's backed himself into a corner, painted into corners to keep on saying. But how thick are those walls now with paint? And it's a tricky one to work out. I mean, he was in charge of the bank for 3 years by the time the Ponzi scheme was exposed, right? And everyone else missed it as well. And you can talk to various people on Wall Street in options trading, whatever, who'll say, we were pretty sure he was a Ponzi schemer from the start, this Bernie Madoff. And I even spoke to a few people before it came out saying, there's something fishy about this. It was kind of known there was something fishy. Yep. So it wasn't as if JP Morgan, the bank, could not have found out. So here's Jamie Dimon proclaiming 4 years, fortress balance sheet, best risk management on the street, and now we've got a problem in two of what are meant to be the safest areas of the bank. Transaction management for your clients, Bernie Madoff, and of course the London whale in the Treasury Department. And this just looks like really, really bad stuff for any banker, frankly, involved in this.
All right, we will leave it there. We'll keep an eye on what happens at JP Morgan and with Jamie Dimon, and we'll be back with more Breaking Views tomorrow.